All right. Mark, are you in?
Yes.
All right. Uh, my session is with Mr. Oifini, and I just told him that you'll be joining us for one session. And I started off with Mr. Oifini yesterday. We had just a preliminary, go through some setups and, just in general and, a hint of what's to be expected in terms of training to come. So today, basically, we'll start dealing our first main chapter. Sorry, first main lesson for the day, and we'll start off with the channels and how to pick the trend lines. So next 1 hour, that's what I'll be
Okay.
covering. And what I normally do is that I tend to, as I stated, I tend to go into the live markets and pick some setup that I think will come into play for the day. And the lesson has in terms of channels for the day, then I'll try to cover within on a live setup. So that's what my style is. That's what I prefer, and that's what I intend to do. So with that, I'll just go and pick a random pair. Okay, odd Japanese. We'll start off with the odd Japanese. What I'll do is I'll do a setup, right, in terms of channels, and then I'll start this explaining and start describing how I have done it, why I have done it, what am I looking for, and how to spot these setups, and gradually we'll start covering things. So some of the lesson might just take they are easy to follow. They are, once you start following the lessons, once you start picking up the pace, it'll become much more easy for you to follow. But initially, I will not rush things up. I'll take my time, and I'll make sure that things what I'll be describing, I'll be trying to portray, it's been grasped up by you to the full extent. All right, so this is the setup for our Japanese. We know what happened today early in the morning. There was a big news event for Australian dollar in terms of trade numbers, in terms of retail sales. Then later on, RBA statement and the cash rate, interest rate. I think that was left alone, untouched at 2%. So this is a raw chart in front of me. All right, I do not expect you to follow too much at the present. I'll carry on doing what I'll do in terms of plotting few trend lines, and then I'll start describing and explaining them out to you. All right, this is what I see in front of me. Now, what do I do first? I'll see from the very current price action what I can see. So maybe this is one trend line that I end up drawing. All right. As I said, I'll explain everything. Right now, I'm just going and conducting my setup. All right. So you can probably time me in how long it took me to go onto a random setup. And what I want to say right now is that I'm ready to trade this pair. As of right now, I am ready to trade this pair. Maybe I can do a little bit touch out here. That would be, yeah. So, as I said, if things are not clear, do not worry about that because we have got ample of time and I will be explaining each and everything. So this is my main setup, and for future reference, everything that I code in black, that's mean these are the main trend lines that I'm looking for, right? For the day or for the days to come, these are the main trend lines that I'm looking for. So this is what I have, and now I'll start explaining. what my intentions are and what I intend to do. Apparently, the news that came in early in the Asia session, this is a 2 hours candle, and we have a huge consolidation for the past 2 3 days, and suddenly we have a big thrust on the higher side. So this is low for the day is 90.05, and the high so far has been 91.51. So roughly about, I'll say about 150 pips surge on the Aussie Japanese yen. All right, so that's mean the news that came out was definitely positive in terms of the numbers, in terms of what markets were expecting, and Aussies, did what it was supposed to do. It surged. All right. What I see here is that initially, from the current price range, this was a holding trend line that was coming across. All right. We take the first connection from here. We joined second here. Third, we had a hit, and if you were looking into this pair, you probably would have gone short. It dropped it here, came back to the same trend line, again halted, came back, and again when it came down here initially from here, what it did was that gave you a connection to form a support. Eventually it came and it hit the support, and it held it. So basically, in a very layman term, the price consolidating between this blue T1 and the black T2 trend line. So that's mean, if I have to trade this pair without making it too complicated, right, without looking into a bigger picture, I would rather either if it comes and starts testing here, starts showing me a holding pattern. By holding pattern, I mean nothing more than when the price comes in, right, and start respecting this trend line for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so there's a resistance or there's a support or there's a demand at this spot, so and you have a trend line that's coming in. So what you try to do is that you try to go short. But this kind of setup, normally what it requires is that one hit, second hit, third hit. Is it me or is it on the backside? I'm having a lot of distortion. Hello?
The connection is gone.
Come again?
I can't hear you.
Okay. Let me call you back again. Let's call back again.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. I started
Yes, I
having
can
yeah,
hear you now.
yeah. I started having
The
distortion
connection
too.
was very bad.
Yeah, I presume because I was having a lot of distortion too. Anyways, so I was saying normally, and it's always a good thing to prior to your when you pick your pairs, you need to know if there's a heavy news impact data coming up on the pairs or not. So that tells you, it gives you an idea that especially if you are some kind of consolidation mode on the pair on whatever time frame that you're looking for, that there could be an apparent breakout to it. So eventually it came down, it broke it. So basically, if you were short, you should have a small stop and reverse policy on this. That if it breaks it, I need to be stopped on my shorts and I need to carry on with my longs. All right, this is just this is.
Sorry, can you share your screen with me, please?
Oh, okay. I forgot.
Thank you.
Can you see the screen now?
No, I think it's coming up. Yes, now I can see.
Okay. What I was saying is that price has been consolidating between T1 and T2, and we knew that there's a very high impact, a series of data coming in from the Australian dollar, from the Australia, so including an RBA statement. So there was a high chance that the price might, break out of this consolidated point. So which apparently it did. So for trading purpose, if I was short from here, I would have a stop and reverse policy because this will constitute a breakout. The only thing that I'm looking at, that the price has already covered almost about 100, 110 pips to do this breakout. So is there enough power on the pair? Is there, the news impact? Can the ripples go far away? As in, can it continue for the next 2 days, 3 days? Or is just that one sudden surge, and then, later on what we see is like what we normally see is reversal coming back onto the pair. So that is yet to be determined, right? So, but the idea is that this is not your main trend line. This is just a reference trend line, which is initial, pointing out to the initial consolidating zone. This is a good looking supportive zone because this low and this low almost, minor. This low came in very close to the low that was posted back on July 9th. So this tells you that the impetus is on the higher side, that the force probably most likely will be going on the higher side. Now, how do I determine whether I need to go and, is that a good buy here, or I need to continue, or what I need to do with that? So what I do is that I plotted this trend line, black, and this is nothing more than an upholding pattern, supportive trend line. It broke, it gave one test, and then it came back and hit a low. Now it's doing nothing but then coming back again to retest it. So the level is, upon retest, is 91.66, or let's say 91.60, 91.65, 91.70. So what I would do without any hesitation, market comes down to this point, because this is a pure retest of the break version, right? This is where my interest lies in to go short. So if I take a shot here, my first target would be at least a retest down towards 91.20 or whatever the numbers that comes onto the T1. We're doing nothing more than playing the ranges. Here is the breakout. This breakout looks good, and it is more likely, I'm more than certain that it will come and it will test 91.60 zone. Hopefully today. If not today, then tomorrow the number would have been slightly on the higher side, maybe 91.70, 91.75. Apparently, it's not the level that we are concerned with, it's the trend line that we are concerned with. And the trend line, if you can see, it is linear. By linear, I mean nothing more than, it is streamlined. It is, if you would have drawn a trend line like that, would you follow it?
Yeah, definitely.
Why would you do that?
As you said, it's a linear trend line, and you can see that it confirms the break of of price at the certain places, and also price finds support when going up at that trend line. If you can see previously.
Very good.
I think it's a line to consider when making decisions.
Very good. And you can take the clause a little bit further. The best breakout policy is not actually to sell the breaks. Is to let the price upon break hit a substantial low. I mean, it hit a substantial low, try to track back, but then came back in again. So now it is more than likely to get a retest here, right? So this would be an actual first retest of this breakout. So history, or past experience, tells me that when the price comes back and try to retest the breakout points again, they are more than likely than not to hold. So if probability says if it gets a test out here, it is more likely to hold, that means I would prefer to go short here. This is my prime level for the day to go short here. 91.60-ish, any number out there, I would like to go short. And since I'm looking at a 2-hour candle, as long as I do not get a 2-hour close above this trend line, I will try to maintain the short. And I know on the way back, my first target needs to be this, because this is a very recent breakout. So there's a very high chance, actually not a high chance, but a likely scenario that if the price drifts back towards T1, it is usually, well, initially it needs to find support. I think it will find support, and let's say if prior to hitting T3 or 9160ish level, let's say the price drops from here towards this trend line, I would expect a short-term buys from here, right, to carry on back towards here and release my longs and take my shorts, and again carry the same formulate, bring it down here towards getting a test here. Now there is another when you're working with setups like this, and since we are discussing channels, so what are the channels in place here? So this blue, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay it out into dotted. That's mean this is not a main trend line, right? This is a good reference initially till it broke up, right? So to a larger extent, it has done its work. The only work that is probably left is that once it hit T3, right, and it starts holding, it needs to come and retest back towards 9120. Now, the thing that you need to understand is that this 9120 right now, once we're coming down from resistance, right, it will not be the main support here, because normally what I've seen is that once you are looking at a consolidated points and you have a breakout there, when they come retest, this actually is not the main point again. Your main point should come somewhere even lower, and we will discuss on that, how we track that. But right now, what needs to be understood is in terms of channel, the main channel out here is between this black to black, and that makes it bullish. The channel from here is bullish. And now the main thing about the channels are there. One of the good things about the channel is that it's either bullish, it's either bearish, but regardless of bearish or bullish, if you're drawing a good channel, then it needs to be proportioned. The lines needs to be proportional. I would say at least about 88%, if possible 100% proportional. And by that I mean nothing more than what I just did earlier. That is, I consider this as a main trend line, right? Support broken, most likely to act as resistance. So I try to do nothing more than get a proportional, or as close to the proportional, a channel back to it. So since hold on, since I have a low here, I have a almost a match up with the low here. Normally, or most of the people, what they do is they do this. But if you look at the channel properly, this is inclining, slightly inclining, this trend line. This is slightly declining, right? For it to be an up channel, if this is inclining, the lower trend line needs to be inclining too. That would be a proper channel. Otherwise, this becomes, if we span that out into a larger zone, this becomes more of an expanding channel than a bull channel. So what I did, or what I usually do, is that once I figure out that this is a good looking trend line and something that I can rely on, so where the price is, this comes down as a resistance. This actually has been a support earlier, so come back, it should be resistance. So all I do is I try to take I try to duplicate the trend line and see if I get a matching somewhere. I got match here, but this is not a streamline match. This actually could be a good spot initially. You know what I mean? Because here I can use this and then I will delete that. So this is the one that's been manually plotted, right? So there's a good rebound, a good retrace from here. I would prefer a good retrace from 9160, 9170 to come down at least 100 pips. but I know there's a point between 9120 based on the tops of this channel. But an ideal target on this retrace would be at least a matchup towards this zone 9060, 9050, whatever that is. But the actual channel trend line is still this. And the reason being, this gives you enough width, it gives you enough scope, and it tells you that from here to here it is a bull channel, but at the same time this is a resistance zone. That's means we're only on the retrace. We are only on the retrace. So I'm matching top. In case if we break above this top black trend line, right, then we can do the same thing. We can duplicate this trend line and see, where we can go out here. And we're looking basically for best possible zone, and I think this is it. So my point being, if we get a break on the higher side and it starts getting close above this trend line, the price most likely in day or two needs to try out 92.75, 92.80. This is nothing more than, what we are doing is nothing more than allowing the price to show us what its intentions are. What we are doing is considering what the future price action might be on, on the pair, and how we are trying to basically dissect it on the charts. So this is giving you no other assumption. This will become like this. Hold on. This is the play out. So right now, hit here, starts holding. We had an initial match somewhere around here, right? That's 91.20 or whatever the numbers were. So that would be your first. That would be your first target, right? You're most likely going to see some bounces, maybe another attempt towards the same trend line, which is actually good. If you get one or two attempts on a good support or good resistance, in this case, this trend line, which is basically support turning resistance, right? So what happened is that, you hit it, you drop down, then again you hold here, you come back and you try a new high, maybe by exceeding by 2 pips, 3 pips, 5 pips, less than 7, 8 pips, and if it starts holding, then that's where I know that's where I know the probability has gone even higher that it's gonna retrace and it's gonna break that, and I will start looking for what we saw here somewhere, 90-60 zone, right? So that would become a good target on the drop. I will not wait for it to come and match here, because to a larger extent, we will of course cover this later on. This looks slightly on the bullish side, that it's more than likely that it's going to come in like that. So I will reserve my views or my bias, for now. I'm not focused too much on that. I'm just focusing on channel. How do you play channel? But when you say you have a channel in place, whether it's a bull channel or whether it's a bear channel, you need to be very confident about that. That's mean, as I told you yesterday, your trend line needs to have a meaning, right? Your setup needs to be asking yourself a question: why am I considering that? And why am I considering here is nothing more than a streamlined trend line. It's been broken here, but I am neglecting this. That's mean this spike out here, I'm neglecting it. It's been a long way back. When did it happen? It happened somewhere on 20 July, and we don't trade this pair too much. I don't know if there was a news event or what was happening that day, but it's just a spike, and it covered back up, not till it broke, and all the way from here till here, even till this retest of this break, it has been nothing but a streamlined posture, and that's what it counts. So come back, I expect it to it needs to, most likely, I would say most likely, has an 85 to 90%, this trend line will show you a hold. So if I was trading something like that, I will try to get in as close to the 91.65, 91.66. As I will try as close to get an entry onto the pair. I'll look for first 15-20 pips. I'll try to cash some out. I'll amend my stops a little bit, and I'll see if I can take the position down for 91.20, or that would be like 45-50 pips, and I'll start watching the reaction out there. Depending on the reaction it shows me, I might back all and I'll wait for a reattempt for 91.60 to go short again. And with the mind frame that again on a second strike, if we hold it, that's mean this support turn out to be resistant, is good in play, and I'm more than likely to see a drop below 91.20 and fair chance that we can extend down towards 90.60, 90.70. So this is how the channel comes into play. The channels are bullish, the channels are bearish, and once we start let's say we hit that, once we start dropping, I'm just trying to figure out if I can have something better on a target than probably this trend line. So let's see if we can find something. Yeah. And the reason why I say that we find something is, as probably you have also noticed, what usually happens is that when we are trading in this box here into this consolidation point, right? So this trend line was true. This trend line was true. It gave you a shot here, it gave you a shot here, it broke out here. Now on the way back, what happened is that it loses its charm because this is not a main trend line. So when it retraces, it goes like this, holds it here, probably go back up on the higher side, and then drop back and comes back here. So maybe not 90.60, 90.75, 90.80. And the reason I'm using this is that these are two lower bases, right? This is treat this trend line differently than this trend line, right? This is a main trend line. This is what we are using for now, but we can always delete it later on, like this. We will not keep it for a longer time because this is only for one play, is done, and then we just scrap it out. The only reason I'm using it is based on two lower lows. It shows one good breakout. First attempt back to it, it held to it, right? Drop, close higher, fake breakout indication, came back, and the breakout here again, and carry on. So 90.65, while your main target would be 90.60, you should be careful around 90.85, 90.90. So 2 points of exit, one point of entry, 91.60. 2 point of exits, one being 91.20, 91.25, depending. It's inclining, so you need to. It's not the number that matters. It's a trend line coming. Let's say if it's 91.20 here, but by the time it comes down, it's almost the end of the U.S. session. So probably it'll be about 90.25, 90.28. So the number changes, But the trend line, what we focus is on the trend line. The numbers obviously they change around. So with this thing hit here, come again?
Oh, not okay. It's all right. I'm following.
All right, we'll be covering this again and again. Now this was just one example. We'll take another example. Pound. How did you do with the pound yesterday?
Yeah, I got profits. I made about $150.
Good enough. As I told you, you need not to tell me you're taking trades based on that, because apparently as of right now, we are only expecting you to, get the system, get the strategy registered, and start practicing on your end. But one of the reasons that I discuss live setup is just that I prefer this. I prefer it that way. So again, we are back into the channels. So this is a pound. So first thing first, the channels are bigger in nature. That's mean the main thing before your whole setup relies on you have a main channel, and the bigger the channel you have, the better it is. And within those channels you can have sub channels, you can have a lot of patterns, you can have a lot of things going on in between, but the main thing stays is the main channel. So everything, because that gives you indication whether the overall price picture or the bigger picture right now currently for next month or next 2 months is bullish or bearish. So it gives you an idea where the market can most likely tilt towards, because if it's a bull channel, then most likely the dips are getting buyout. If it's a bear channel, then most likely the retraces are getting getting sold back into strength. So these are things that gives you a good indication on what markets are doing and how you need to proceed with that. And channels for that reason comes in number one priority. And within the channels you have so many other things going around. As we proceed with our lessons, those will be covered. So let's see, if we take a 4 hours pound USD chart, what do I get? So normal way of plotting trend line is you go like this. Let's say this becomes your resistance based trend line. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to match it up with the lower side, and I'll see where it comes in. Yeah, I'll take this. Slightly tilting bull channel, and right now I don't want you to worry too much. How am I picking trend lines? Of course, we have plenty of time, and let me start out with the channels, and then I'll start out with the trend lines also, because apparently that's a crucial part of the training also. So as of right now, what I've done is that I've taken the high of one candle, I've joined with the low of other candle. As I told you yesterday that there are no hard and fast rules how you need to pick your candles up. It could be one top, it could be combined with the bottom of other trend line, or it could be a bottom of one trend line combined with the top of the other trend line. So
just like you did right now.
Just like what I did right now. Because the first impact is the top of the candle. Second combination is the bottom of the bottom of the candle. And why is it a channel to me? Alright, I would assume we have some kind of breakout here. If I go from the back, I'm assuming, I could be wrong, but let's see if we can try that. If I go back